story time, and also engage with me in the comments. Please leave any type of suggestions that you want. I decided to do this channel because I've been told so many times that I'm a great storyteller, but the difference about this channel is it's all going to be about different type of stalker shows, murder mystery shows, and there will also be some supernatural story times as well. The flow of this is actually going to be in a darkened type room, so it's never going to be fully lit, and so you just never know what we're going to get into on this channel. The story that I have for you guys today, it was from a program that I've watched for many years. This one is a story about a lady. Her name was Beverly. Beverly and her husband Reginald. So the first story that we have today, you guys, is called Something Wasn't Right. There was a couple. Their name was Beverly and Reginald. Beverly and Reginald met one another in college. They began to hang out some, and after some time goes by, they started dating. A few months or so continued to go by after that, and both of them fell in love with one another. A little more time went by as well, and Beverly finds out that she is pregnant. She tells Reggie that she is pregnant, and he is so excited about having their first child. So the relationship is growing, is flourishing, and Beverly becomes pregnant with her second child. Now, in between having her second child, Beverly and Reggie become married. So when she's pregnant with the second child, they are already in a marriage relationship. But Beverly began to notice some red flags and some signs and some strange behavior with her husband Reggie. Reggie became to be really secluded. He actually became a recluse. Reggie did not want to participate in any family activities. Reggie did not want to go outside hardly. He would not go shopping. He wouldn't watch a movie with the family. He wouldn't even go to the store with his family whenever Beverly would ask him to. The only time that Reggie would go outside if he would sit out there and just watch the kids run around in the yard. But even as some time went on, he stopped going outside to watch the children. So as a little bit more time goes on, Beverly begins to notice that Reginald would not come out of his room. He actually quit his job in between time, and so he was totally secluded to the room. She would try to get him to come out to engage with the family. He just wasn't doing it for whatever the reason was. So one day the kids, this was a little bit time that went on, the kids had invited their friends over, and they're all just sitting in the living room playing on the floor, playing board games or whatever else they were doing. And the father at this time had a habit of staring at them. So he opens up the bedroom door and stares at his kids and the friends, which made them super uncomfortable. So they tell their mom, he's doing it again. He's staring at us. And so the mom just brushed it off and said, that's just what he does. Just totally ignore him and just go on and have fun with your friends. Don't worry about your dad. So one night some strange things began to happen. Beverly was asleep and she smelled smoke. And so she got out of the bed. She went into the kitchen and she noticed that a teddy bear was laying on the stove, and the stove had been turned stations were on, and so it would just be white static on the television. And instead of Reggie turning off the television, Reggie would watch the static all night long. So Beverly asked him, Reggie, I have to get up to go to work the next day. Turn off the TV. And he would just look at her. He would turn his head, look at her, and then he would go back and just stare at the static on the television. So she learned to sleep with the noise in the room. She said eventually she would just fall asleep because she was tired, but she learned to block out the noise. His strange behavior after some time began to escalate even more. Her youngest son, his name was, I think Vaughn was his name. He used to sleep with a doll, just a little simple teddy bear type doll. So one day, Beverly goes into the living room and the doll is hanging from like the ceiling fan. So she thinks maybe one of the kids puts the doll on the ceiling fan, but she noticed that the doll had a noose wrapped around his neck and he had cut a hole in the heart of the doll. Instantly, Beverly knew that her kids did not do that out of fun. So she took the doll down, took it to her husband Reggie, and asked him, why would you do this? And he would not answer her at all. Whenever she would ask him something, he never talked. It had been a while since he had even had a conversation with the family at all. He was starting to get really, really weird. So Reggie, one of the other strange behaviors that he had was Reggie became super paranoid, and he believed that she was trying to poison him or that people was recording their conversations over the phone or that Beverly was trying to kill him. So one day she was feeding everyone dinner. He ate the stew that she cooked as well as the kids ate the stew. But Beverly did not have the time to eat yet because she's making sure everyone has their plate. So Reggie became sick while he was eating, and he thought that she was trying to poison him. So he runs into the kitchen and forces her to eat a bowl of the stew because he's thinking in his mind that she's trying to poison him. So she ate the stew in front of him and told him, why would I try to poison you and the kids? Why would you think that? And after she proved to him that she didn't try to poison him, he still wasn't feeling good. So she took him to the hospital. And when she took him to the hospital, she found out that his appendix had ruptured. And the doctor stated that if you would have waited at least a half an hour later, he would have died. One thing that Beverly said in this episode, I wish I would have waited the half an hour, not knowing what she really meant by that. So then he comes home from the hospital. He starts back with the strange behavior, but now he's becoming volatile. So one day, Beverly hears a lot of scuffling and arguing, and Reggie is in the room, and he's attacking her middle son, their middle son. And so she breaks them up and she asks, him, what's going on? What are you grabbing him for? And Reggie states he knows what he's done. And so she turns to her son and she says, do you know, what did you do? said I didn't do anything. And so the dad kept saying, you know what you did, and he tried to attack him again. But Beverly stood in the middle to keep them from fighting. And so Beverly noticed that this is escalating now, because before Reggie was never, ever violent. He was just strange. And so she takes him, Reggie and her go into the living room, and she tells him, if you hurt my son, I'm going to kill you. And that is not a threat, that is a promise. And if you think I'm playing, then try me. And that infuriated Reggie. A little time goes on, and he ends up getting into a fight with the older son. Now, the older son was doing his homework at the table, and Reggie was helping him with the homework, and Beverly was sitting at the table as well. And Reggie asked the son a question. The son did get a little mouthy with him, and Reggie slapped the son in the face. A whole fight ensues after that, and the other brother comes running into the living room to try to hold their dad down. In the midst of them scuffling, he hit Beverly in the face, and she flew against the wall. So by this time, Beverly tells him, look, I want a divorce. I don't know what you have going on. You won't tell anybody, you know, what your issue is. I'm not dealing with this. So when she told her husband that she thought that he would move out, guess what? He didn't move out. He still stayed in the home. And so after that time, everything was calm for a moment. But just for a moment was it calm. It was only calm for a moment. Then Reggie begins some really, really strange behaviors. By this time, he will not come out the bedroom at all. But he's in the bedroom chanting and doing incantations. Now, Beverly knew she see that they're still in the bed. And so she tells them, hey, get up. You guys, it's the middle of the afternoon. You're just going to sleep the day away. So she said her first son, she saw his hands was like this on his head. She looked, and there was a bullet hole in his forehead. She looks on the top bunk where her other son is, and there's a bullet hole in his forehead. She goes to the other twin bed where her younger son was. She pulls the cover back, and his brains is splattered all over his pillow. Beverly says she heard a scream. She didn't know who it was, but it was her. So she called the police. Eventually, they called her husband. He got sentenced to death. And it wasn't until 28 years later that he was finally executed. And the last thing that he did when he was executed was gave her and those that was watching his execution the 2 middle fingers. He held his 2 middle fingers up until all the lethal injection went through him, and he couldn't do it anymore. That is the story